Did emperors divide the world just to create more wars? Imagine a world stretching further than you can see, ruled by a single immense power. A world of gleaming cities, bustling trade routes, and legions of soldiers. Sounds epic, right? Well, that was the Roman Empire, at least for a while. But what if I told you that this mighty empire, the one that seemed unstoppable, fractured into two warring halves, not by some grand, unifying vision, but by a desperate attempt to manage a crumbling system? Let's rewind to the late 3rd century. The Roman Empire was drowning in chaos. Generals were stabbing each other, barbarians were smashing through the borders, and the whole thing felt like it was about to implode. Diocletian, a man who looked like he'd wrestled with a lion and won, stepped in. He didn't try to fix the mess with a single, decisive stroke. Instead, he sliced it in half, literally. He appointed 2 emperors, one for the west, one for the east, like dividing a giant pizza into 2 equally grumpy slices. It was supposed to be a brilliant solution, a way to strengthen the empire by making it easier to manage, but it backfired spectacularly. The moment Diocletian and his co-emperor stepped down, the 2 men vying for the throne plunged the empire into another bloody civil war. Picture it: emperors, generals, and ambitious politicians locked in a vicious cycle of betrayal and bloodshed, all while the barbarians pounded at the gates. Then came Constantine. A young, shrewd, and ruthlessly ambitious man, Constantine seized the opportunity. He crushed his rivals, and recognizing that the East was the empire's beating heart, he did something truly radical. He moved the capital. Not to Rome, the ancient seat of power, but to a small, unremarkable town called Byzantium on the edge of the sea. He renamed it Constantinople, city of Constantine, and promptly started building a new, magnificent capital, a testament to his power and a strategic stronghold against the encroaching barbarians. Think about that for a second. The heart of the empire, the center of wealth and influence, was being shifted eastward, away from the crumbling west. It was a deliberate, calculated move, a strategic gamble that would ultimately seal the fate of the Roman West. But why did this division happen? Was it simply a case of bad luck and political infighting, or was there something more at play? The truth, as always, is complicated. The East, with its thriving ports like Alexandria and Antioch, was far wealthier and more stable than the West. It was a region of intense trade, sophisticated culture, and a relatively secure coastline. The West, on the other hand, was plagued by poverty, constant warfare, and a dwindling population. Constantine wasn't just moving the capital, he was acknowledging a fundamental shift in the empire's fortunes. He was prioritizing the survival of the East, recognizing that it was the only part of the empire with a real chance of weathering the storm. And then, in 395, Theodosius I, the last emperor to rule over the entire Roman Empire, died. He left behind no male heir, and the empire was formally divided between his 2 sons. The division was now permanent, a clear and irreversible split. The West, weakened and vulnerable, was doomed to fall. The East, with its new capital and its strategic focus, would continue to thrive, evolving into the Byzantine Empire, a civilization that would last for another 1,000 years. But let's zoom in on the people caught in the middle of this epic drama. Imagine being a merchant in Alexandria, trading silks and spices from the East to the West. Suddenly, you're dealing with 2 different sets of laws, 2 different currencies, and 2 different emperors. It's a logistical nightmare. Think about the soldiers stationed on the fringes of the empire, constantly battling barbarian tribes. They were caught between 2 masters, forced to fight for empires that were increasingly distant and disconnected. And what about the ordinary people, the farmers, the artisans, the laborers? They were caught in the crossfire of political ambition and military conflict, struggling to survive in a world that was rapidly changing. The division of the Roman Empire wasn't just a political event, it was a human tragedy. It shattered a world of shared identity and common purpose, creating 2 distinct civilizations with vastly different destinies. It's easy to look back at this period and see it as a simple story of decline and fall. But it's important to remember that it was a complex and dynamic era, shaped by a multitude of factors: political ambition, economic inequality, military pressure, and cultural change. The story of the Roman Empire's division is a cautionary tale about the dangers of overextension, the importance of adaptability, and the enduring power of human ambition. It's a story that reminds us that even the greatest empires can crumble, and that the consequences of division can be profound and lasting. So, the next time you hear about the fall of the Roman Empire, remember the emperors who divided it, the soldiers who fought for it, and the ordinary people who suffered because of it. It's a story that deserves to be told, not just as a historical event, but as a reminder of the fragility of power and the enduring human cost of conflict. And finally, one last, nagging question. If the division was such a disaster, why did it happen in the first place? Was it inevitable, a consequence of the empire's inherent contradictions? Or could it have been avoided with a different approach? Perhaps the answer lies not in the actions of the emperors, but in the deeper forces that were shaping the fate of the Roman world. What do you think?